Don't you wish that this game was more than what it actually was at the end? And then the game talks about things that weren't actually in the game. I'm guessing that there were things they wanted to do in the game, and the technology just wasn't there. Maybe they didn't have the money or the time, and it ended up being the way it was. Because it's not difficult to imagine a better game. I mean, imagine if in every level you could climb up somewhere and look down at where you were going, and so you can plan your path. And imagine if in every sequence there was more than just one path for you to follow. Imagine if the game told you you need to get from point A to point B, and then there's just a bunch of rooftops and obstacles, and you can choose your path amongst them. And imagine if they were easy paths, but we went the long way. And imagine if there were more difficult paths, but it led you to places where you get more beautiful views, and then you get to see more interesting things. So you're rewarded for putting in the effort. Or imagine if you take a more difficult path, then you end up on a platform with the gun, and then you can pick up the gun and get rid of the enemies instead of having to go down there and fight them. Just rewards, just opportunities for you to explore and do the difficult free running things, and have them reward you for it, and not punish the player by killing them every time they press the button at the wrong split second, and killing them and then saying, nope, do it again, nope, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again until you get it right. That's not a fun game, In a game is better if there's no wrong way to do something. Especially when the player thinks something should work, and then it doesn't work. It belongs in an older era. Games used to be like that 10, 20 years ago. But they've decided things like that aren't fun, especially for the vast majority of people in the world, not just the hardcore gamers, not just the people who are willing to spend hours and hours and hours perfecting the one thing. And then some people are like that, but most people aren't. And you don't want to be telling people what you're doing is wrong. Or if it is wrong, and if it doesn't work, you need to do it in such a way that the player will accept that, and not say it should work, but the game makes it not work. You should be able to climb this scaffolding because there's a bar there, and in real life I could climb that. Even I can. I'm not a parkour master. Except the game decides that that bar can't be grabbed onto by this player. That's not a good way to have a game, Anyway, I think I've summed up pretty much everything, and architecture is just really ordinary. The city is really, really ordinary. And I started talking about this in this video as well. Like, imagine if there were beautiful, remarkable, architecturally unconventional landmarks, like the Sydney Opera House. Imagine parkouring over the Sydney Opera House. That'd be amazing, right? It's just jumping over things and then seeing the harbour laid out before you, just seeing the city behind you. But every building here is just square and glass and concrete, and that's it. And the combat and it's just the parkour. It never gives you a sense of freedom or power, or you never get an advantage from all the work that you put in. I mean, the cops, aside from the ninja cops, which were a bit strange, but aside from the ninjas, the cops will appear in places where, on rooftops, on balconies, they'll just come out of a door, like they were waiting there their entire lives just to come out and shoot you. It shouldn't be like that, because you're at the very start of the game. She talked about the running. It's their escape. I mean, you should be able to run onto rooftops and climb up, and that would allow you to escape. But in this game it never happens, because you run up and there's more guys up there. There's always more guys shooting at you. And so all the free running doesn't give you any advantage. It's not rewarding. You know, you play the game and then you do what they ask you to do, and they don't reward you for it. It's I don't know what to say. I think there are just a few things they could have changed to make it a better game. To make it a truly great game, like being an open world parkour game, I think would have been too difficult. Like, I don't think that's possible with the Unreal 3 engine. I don't know the game engine that well. If you know whether or not an open world game can be made using that engine, I suspect you can't. I suspect they would have to rewrite everything to make that happen. But even just as smaller things, like slightly more options in the maps, and rewarding people for exploring instead of punishing them by having them walk into dead ends, and just more beautiful environments to explore, not just the same square glass blocks all the time. Well, actually not cancel. I guess that's the end of it. I mean, look, there's speedruns and time trials. So, you know, if you really want to do the same thing over and over again 30 times until you get everything perfect, then this is the kind of thing that you would do, speedruns. I can see that this game would have a small but very dedicated following. You know, that particular type of person who really enjoys doing the same thing again and again until they get it perfect, like the speedrunners. But that's a small percentage of the population, you know. Most people don't do that. They play the game once and then they delete it and then move on. That's what most people do. Oh, there's extras and unlockables. There's like artwork. Well, we can actually... a lot of it deals with the character. In fact, I'm kind of disappointed by just how much of the artwork is just her, the main character. Well, for one, you never actually see her in the game because you play as her in first person, right? So you don't even see that person. Maybe at the very last cutscene, then when the camera pulls away and then it turns around, then you finally see the character you've been playing the whole time. Okay, so here we go, environmental artwork. See, is that beautiful? No. No, it's not beautiful. It's just staircases. A train station, again, very, very ordinary. You almost wonder why they bother drawing concept art. Why don't you just go down into a subway, take a photo, and just use that? You don't even have to draw it, it just looks exactly like an ordinary place. A prison cell block that was cut from the game. Again, just white and green and squares and light and staircases and tables. Nothing extraordinary. Okay, here we go. The skyline. Skyscrapers and one big skyscraper, the Shard. So even in the wait a minute, this is the first concept of the Shard? View image. This is supposedly the first concept of the Shard. Look at it. It's exactly the same as the final game. They just took the first concept and built it. There's no development. There's no refinement. There's no improvement. They don't go back and ask, is this the best thing to do? They don't try different things. Apparently the first option is the only option, and they just took it. It's not how you design good things. If you want to design anything good, you always have to have an idea, test it, see what doesn't work, improve it, and then test it again, and keep prototyping, and then keep repeating that process. And every time you redo something, you do it better, and you improve it a little bit. And then at the end, you have something that's better, because you've gone through the process of improving it. Look, again, what do they say? An early image showcasing the first-person point of view. This is an early image. It looks exactly like what's in the game, like they haven't changed from the first idea to the final product. They haven't improved on what they first imagined. And even here, I think some of these buildings are slightly more interesting than the ones in the game. Like, the runner vision can clearly be seen. Yeah, but again, there's only one path. You can't go this way, for example. I hope you can see the mouse on the video. You can't go this way, you can't go the other way. There's only one path in the whole thing. It's the same thing again, the same buildings. Early color test uses reference for lighting. Again, like the early imagery looks the same as the finished game, the city vista. I think some of these buildings were not even in the game. I think there were even fewer varieties of buildings in the game. There's a tower here, which is interesting. I mean, you would almost expect that to be a gameplay element, but it's not. And then we're back to model. I swear they spent more time on characters than on actual architecture. Like Jackknife, this is the first Jackknife. And you can see how much he's changed at the end, so they went to improve the characters. And the Jackknife again, like the most annoying character in the whole game, the guy you really just love to punch in the face. They spent the most time on apparently. Look, he had long hair, he had red, then he was blue. Merc hasn't changed. Miller had like 3 different faces, and then at the end they chose this face. Let's see, Celeste had like different outfits, but they chose rope burn. You know, they definitely spent more time. Merc's lair, I mean, you never actually play it in the game, you just see it in the cutscenes. The bag played a much larger role in early versions of the story. I almost wish we had those early versions. I suspect you would meet your clients and you would have more of a story, and you would actually be delivering stuff between your clients, and you would actually be a part of the resistance. I mean, there's the servers that control the surveillance. Like, this is exactly the same as how it was in the final game. The concept for the PK training facility, like in the final game, it's almost exactly the same. I just think they missed a few steps. They missed the refinement. They missed the... Oh, and these are all the... Wait, what am I doing? Videos. These are the cutscenes. Like, they missed the part of game development where you actually take your initial ideas and improve them and test them and make sure that they're good. Like, they missed that step. They just took the idea, they made bits of it, and then they published the game. Anyway, I guess that's it. Yeah, thanks for watching. I don't really want to be all negative about games, but unfortunately, this game just could be so much more than it is. Alright, I hope that's useful to you guys. you know, instead of just complaining, I did try to suggest ways to make things better. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next game, whatever that might be, and maybe Minecraft, back do a bit more of that. I'll see you guys.